here we have the big one, UCS Millennium Falcon, kit number 75192 at 7,541 pieces. And I think this one's going to be a tough one. Not because I think it's going to be overly complex, but because every build I do for this channel is done one take, one sitting. So I'm in it for the long haul. I hope you're able to get this done in 13 hours, but we won't know until we get there. But before any of that, of course, let's get this box opened up, see what we're working with. I think the assortment of bags is going to be just massive. Then we can get this build underway and get a close look at this highly detailed, highly satisfying UCS Millennium Falcon. Now this is one stunning set, and that was one epic build, and I am super pleased to have been able to complete it in one sitting, under 14 hours. That's no small feat, and I am pleased.
Now, it will please you. Let's have a close look at the largest, most highly detailed LEGO Star Wars set ever released. Now this thing is a beast. It might not be that tall, only about 8 inches, 21 centimeters, but it is a whopping 33 inches or roughly 84 centimeters long, 22 inches or 56 centimeters wide, and according to my Googling, the set weighs in at a good 30 pounds or 13 kilos. With over 7,500 pieces to cover this huge surface area, it's no wonder the detailing, the grebbling in this kit is bar none. Whether you're looking at the top, the sides, or the bottom, it's quite clear the designers of this kit put thought into all of it. I'd say the most detailing goes into the sides, where the grebbling is really dense. It's pretty hard to find even a square centimeter anywhere along the length that isn't just packed with extra little pieces to give that awesome surface detailing. Looking at it from the top, we can see there aren't as many tiny pieces filling the space as we found on the side, but I would say there's no less effort put into the detailing up here. Except for those little recessed cavities, which are filled with tiny components and do look absolutely fabulous. A large part of the detailing up here is done with larger components, long tubes to connect things up, different color swatches to get some patterns, and while not as plentiful, still having a healthy assortment of those tiny little pieces, which help to complete the Millennium Falcon's gritty, unpolished look that we all love so much. And now, underneath, the details are fewer, but there's much to appreciate down here. As to the landing gear, this ship comes with 7 robust supports in total. At the back end, they're mounted in pairs, and up front, we have 3 mounted on their own. Behind the bridge and beneath the docking port, we have the little ramp, which lowers so our minifigs can get access to the interior of the ship. A little forward and slightly towards the center of the ship from there, just a little to the right of the ventral quad laser, we have a little hidden panel that you can slide back to lower down the machine gun, as seen in episode 5. All the way in the front of the ship, matching the 4 recessed sections we have on top, we have 4 more on the bottom, each of these also being pleasantly detailed. And then finally, all the way in the back, the detailing down here matches very nicely with the detailing we had on the top side. Now as you start to have a look at the interior scenes, starting with the most visible of them, the cockpit, which we can access quite easily just by pulling the cockpit glass straight off. Within, we can see there's room for 2 minifigs to sit in front of the 2 consoles in the front, some standing room in the back, and some more computer terminals on the wall just behind that. Around the satellite dish, there's 2 panels that can be removed, exposing the lounge. Within, we've got a large bank of plush seats, surrounding the Jark holographic game board, the combat training helmet that Luke used in his early training. The sticker applied here gives a nice feeling of depth to the hallway just beyond this room. And on the other side of the room, there's the engineering station, with rotating chair just in front of it, with a little bit of equipment off in the corner. All the way in the back of the ship, we again have 2 more panels that we can remove, exposing the engine room. Here we have 2 more of those hallway stickers, giving a nice feeling of depth with access to the rest of the ship, and right between them, there's a ladder that leads up to the gunner station for the quad turbo laser. In the back, we've got the hyperdrive with its own console, 2 escape pods, a little panel on the floor that you can move to hide some cargo, and over on the left-hand side, that room in episode 5 where Han and Leia had their first kiss. And for that final internal scene, pulling off the dorsal turbo laser reveals the seat for the dorsal gunner, obviously. And for your viewing pleasure, the Millennium Falcon can be displayed either as the one we know from the original movie trilogy or the sequel trilogy. And you can do this by swapping out the radar dish, the one that was lost at the end of episode 6, and replace it with the square one as we saw in episode 7. And if you want to do so, it would also be appropriate to add at the very front of the ship these little episode 7 accessories, which I'm not really familiar with. I'm not sure what they are, so if you know, please put in the comments below. Finally, before the minifigs, as we'd expect with all UCS kits, we have one nice little black plaque, laying out many of the details and specifications of our favorite Corellian light freighter. Now to the minifigs, where we have our episode 5 Han, whose alternate face has a little breathing mask, and our episode 7 Han, episode 5 Leia, whose alternate face also has a breathing mask, Chewbacca, who looks the same in both, a pair of buildable porgs, then we have Rey, Finn, and BB-8, who are all evidently from episode 7, C-3PO, could be episode 5 or 7 as you wish, and one little buildable Minoc, which I know technically is a minifigure, doesn't have any exclusive parts, but better show them off here than leave them unattended chewing on the power cables. With the features all covered, I think something else very important to talk about is the fragility of this set, because it is one of the most fragile I have ever assembled. The whole thing is built on an internal frame, which is very sturdy and robust, but this ship, to achieve the very rounded shape in the back, and the body, which starts thinner towards the edges and gradually gets thicker as you go to the center, required a lot of very creative placement of pieces to make this shape work. And many of the top panels are simply sitting in place, not connected by a single stud locking it down. This is by no means a criticism. To recreate the rather unusual and beautiful shape of this most iconic ship took some really creative design choices. And the end result is something that is absolutely stunning, This is one of the most impressive display kits out there. The detailing is simply phenomenal, and I don't believe there's any other kits, at least none that come to my mind, that come anywhere near matching what's been achieved in this kit. Not the Colosseum, not the Titanic, not anything else that's anywhere near this size, and or having this level of detail. So as a display kit, this is definitely a top tier option, and I feel it really doesn't get any better than this. But before you jump into buying this kit, there are some things you need to be aware of. The first one was the fragility of this kit, so wherever you decide to lay this one down, I hope it's where it's going to stay, because moving this around is quite challenging. There's only a few places on the bottom where you can pick this up from, and grabbing it from someplace other than one of these intended locations could easily result in this thing falling apart in your hands. It's also quite large, which of course makes it that much more impressive as a display piece, but the size is definitely something you want to keep in mind. And while I have been saying all these fantastic things about the display value of this kit, there is some room for improvement. Most notably, I feel there could be more interior scenes. There's a lot of empty space in here that's not utilized. But maybe that's just fine, because myself looking at this, seeing how I want to mod it and make it my own, is part of what makes LEGO so great. Who says my Millennium Falcon has to be the same as everyone else's? Why can't mine be different in my own personalized, customized way? Now for a quick word about the play value of this kit. Being so fragile, I think it's quite clear this is not intended to be played with at all, so while it's getting maximum points as a display kit, it's actually getting a 0 on play. And as to parts of note, or components of interest, this kit is actually pretty basic. The round satellite dish and the cockpit glass are both unique pieces to this kit, but everything else is just standard components. This again is not a criticism. I think it's pretty awesome how they're able to accomplish so much using the same pieces that we've had for so long, providing for us this most spectacular of display pieces, which, if you have the space and the budget, I really hope finds its way into your collection.